Many people are concerned about some of Trump's more brash statements, extreme vetting for Muslims, building a wall. What I do think will happen is that he's not very experienced in foreign policy, and once he understands the complexities of many of these issues, he may end up not changing U.S. foreign policy that much after all. But much of that will really depend on who he appoints in his key top jobs.
The victory of Donald Trump casts some uncertainty surrounding operations against ISIS in Syria and Iraq. There is some pressure because of that to complete these operations before his inauguration next year.
Donald Trump's rhetoric on the campaign trail has thrown many aspects of U.S. nuclear policy into doubt. He's threatened to withdraw extended deterrence guarantees from NATO and East Asian allies, to rip up the Iran nuclear deal, and to revamp relations with Russia.
The election will have a direct impact on how the U.S. positions itself in Asia. So will the United States continue with its pivot to Asia? And what does this mean for China relations? Likely China will step up its engagement with its regional neighbors.
The biggest problem for the alliance is that President-elect Trump is looking at the European link as a transactional link, not as a community of ideas and principles. It would be very difficult to try to reinvent the alliance 70 years after it was established.
The future will be a function in part of how Europeans react to the behaviour and pressures that the Trump administration imposes. The UK will avoid confrontation at almost any cost, but the same may not be true of the leaders of France and Germany. In addition, I think we have to recognise that any European firms that are thinking of making defence investments in the US are going to put their investments on hold.
Donald Trump has previously said he'd like to cancel the F-35 program, which would obviously be hugely significant for the US Air Force, Marine Corps and Navy, as well as foreign customers like the UK, if that happens. However, the fact that he clearly has very little idea about the US military means we'll probably see a lot of unpredictability when his pre-campaign statements actually meet the reality of what he can and can't do.
Military leaders are always really keen to stress the continuity of their institutional relationships over those in politics. And we saw this in the MOD responses to Brexit earlier in the year. But I think Trump's selection puts a huge question mark over if and how those military forces are likely to be employed. So there's going to be a huge amount of contingency planning going on.